Ready, Sam? Okay, good morning and welcome to the October 24th, 2023 Board of Supervisors meeting for the County of Lake. We will open this meeting with a moment of silence, and I think it's just hard for all of us to fathom the amount of human suffering that's happening around the globe and in the Middle East. And I know that's been our moment of silence for the last few weeks, and I think it's absolutely critical that we continue that today. Vice Chair Simon, would you like to lead us in the pledge?
Yes. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any extra items that are not on the posted agenda?
We do not.
Okay. We'll move to number 4, number 5, approval of consent agenda. Do we have any items that need to be pulled? Supervisor Spatier? No?
You want me to pull one?
No. Can we all just recognize that this is a historic moment?
Did you see it? Want me to-
Just kidding.
I feel like you're mocking me.
Okay, any items from the public? Anyone wish to pull anything from the consent agenda? Anyone, let me get in the Zoom room here. No hands up in the Zoom room? Okay, then we will move on to action.
Go ahead.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. So we have some time till our timed items. And we have no non-timed items other than our weekly calendar, so we'll do that. Who's ready to begin? Supervisor Spatier?
I'll just make it quick. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to be joining the fire chiefs over at the Nice Fire Station, if that's okay with Supervisor Crandall. Then because of the COC, we do have because of the continuum of care, we do have a faith group, and I'll be meeting with a church group for a luncheon to present to them what it is that the COC is working on and looking for ways for us to collaborate, know what we're working on so we can share our programs to those that we serve. Then I will be meeting with PEG to resolve some stuff that needs to be done for PEG, and also doing a tour of pump station number 6 down in the Gooseneck area of Clear Lake. That's something that we approved about, I want to say 3 to 6 months ago, and the installation is happening as we speak. This is something that I'm looking forward that we can expand to other pump stations in order to reduce some of the nuisance that come from those pump stations. After that, Lake County Fire Protection District meeting will be happening, and that will be all for that day. I have a lot of different things going on Thursday. I have a Hope Rising board meeting that I will attend partially, but then we have a food bank discussion happening in the middle of that, which I have to be a part of. I will also be a part of the jail meeting over jail medical data that's going to be shared with us from the third quarter. And then the Community of Care Strategic Planning Group will be meeting together that Thursday as well. And in the evening, the Innovation Summit that will be happening on October 27th at Twin Pine Casino. There will be a dinner on Thursday night. And then the Innovation Summit will pretty much take the whole of my day on Friday. And I don't believe I have much on the following week other than meeting, no, we have the week off after that. I'll just stop there since we want to keep moving.
Supervisor Crandall?
All right, tomorrow I'll probably attend the Chiefs meeting too. Nice, and then I know I have a couple other things, but I think they're just with the folks in the district. Next Monday, we have a placeholder for Congressman Thompson to present a check that he used for, I don't know what to call it exactly. I always call it the wrong thing.
Feasibility study?
Well, the funding that he approved. Either way, he's going to present the check for the Middle Creek restoration. So I'll be doing that day. Let's see, East Region Town Hall, November 1st. Not sure what I have otherwise. I don't see anything on the calendar. My EPA ad hoc committee on the 6th, back here on the 7th for Board of Supervisors meeting. That's it.
Who's writing down here?
Tomorrow, First Five Commission, there was a retreat last Friday. I apologize to everyone for not being able to make that. I was immersed in another subject, but looking forward to First Five Commission tomorrow. Thursday at 4 p.m., the City of Lake Worth will be dedicating the new park and unveiling the new name of that. And that's going to be a good event, so everyone's certainly invited to that. Friday, I'll be meeting with City Manager Ingram to catch up on some things. And then last night did meet with Scotts Valley Community Advisory Council, went over many subjects, including the draft regulations that we'll be talking about later today. And of course, I want to thank the State Water Boards for last Thursday's workshop here in the board chambers. And thank you, Supervisor Sabatier, for also attending a good portion of that. And I think that's it.
Yeah, finish up with today's meeting. Looks like we have a agenda review tomorrow, depending when the day ends. On Thursday, I've got to travel out of town, and then Friday, I will be at the summit also, the beginning at Twin Pine for Adventist Health, and on Saturday, it's the Pee Wee playoffs here in Lakeport, so I'll come up and check that out. And then Monday, I'm at an event with Congressman Thompson at the Hidden Valley Community Service District, a groundbreaking event with Congressman Thompson for a project they have down there. Yeah, same thing. No meeting next week. That's all I got.
Okay. Well, I think a lot of us met with Senator McGuire last week, and it was really great for him to tour the home hardening program with NCO and understand exactly how that program's going to roll out. That's really exciting to get him involved in that. Sunday night, I was at the Cobb School Garden fundraiser, and it's critical for the garden program. It's completely run on funding and not supported by the district, so that was an amazing turnout. So I just want to thank everybody that put that event together. Tomorrow, agenda review tomorrow, no, but, right. I was thinking of something else. I have an interview with Canocti Fire Safe Council at 9, then the bi-weekly meeting with home hardening. We have the NCO governing board meeting, which will take all afternoon, and then Thursday, food bank discussion, and then I'll be in the afternoon, the recreation agency, JPA, and then we're going to go over to the park for the opening. Friday, I have a meeting with a constituent in the morning, tree mortality task force meeting, then the Soda Bay corridor, and then I'll be at the homecoming game.
Forgot homecoming.
Saturday night is the Land Trust dinner. I'll be there. Sunday, I will be in Kelseyville with a trick-or-treat from 10 to 2 for all the kids to come out and have a safe trick-or-treating experience. And then Monday, my meeting with CAO Parker. I had, on the 3rd, the 20-year anniversary for celebrating the Santa Rosa Geysers Recharge Project. Are you going to be going to that?
No, I wasn't planning on it.
Okay, well, I will be there. And then that's the biggest thing I have going on that week. I did want to just share that a couple weeks ago, I brought up that the Fire Safe Council had gotten a defensible space grant, and they are going to be offering up to $2,500 for low-income seniors, tribal, Latino populations, and disabled will be eligible. The program is opening up now, but because there's a little bit of a lag in funding, Supervisor Crandall and I are going to be front-loading the program with discretionary funds. I just wanted to share that. We're each going to put $10,000 in to get that program up and rolling and keep it going as long as we possibly can. So it's really exciting. That's going to be impactful for people all around the county. We've had some input from property owners in the North Shore and in District 5, so I thought it was appropriate that we support that, and look forward to a presentation from the Fire Safe Council in December. Did you have something that you wanted to add?
Yeah, I forgot 2 things. I have a Zoom call with Senator McGuire Thursday night at 5, and then also on the 19th, we did our first cultural burn on the Middletown Rancheria. We had 76 participants. Obviously, want to thank all the Middletown Rancheria tribal members, Elk Mountain Fire Crew, CAL FIRE, Terra, every group that was out there that helped. And it was a really good event. Jessica, I want to thank you for showing up, seeing the opportunity. As we were doing it, it's very powerful to bring back the good fire on the earth. Obviously learned a lot as we're moving. I think they also, Terra had a burn in Potter Valley the next day, so they're off and running. As we've been talking about for the last 5 years, it's finally hitting the ground and we're doing it. And we achieved most of the goals. There were quite a few goals that they wanted to hit as far as burning out the slash and some other stuff underneath, but also to see, I think it's going to be a strong winter this year. There are a lot of acorns on the ground, and it was a very powerful day. So I want to thank everybody for that, and more to come, because it is the way to bring back good fire, and it was a powerful day. So I want to thank everyone for that. So yeah, that's it.
I really appreciate the opportunity to share that with you and your tribal members, and watching you start the fire with the torch was incredibly powerful and something that I'll never forget.
Thank you.
I didn't know if, Michael, I don't know if you reported, Senator McGuire went to the museum as well, and the Supervisor Green and I attended. It was really, I think it was really good. We had 3 elders there, 2 elders. It was Ron and Leslie, and just educating him on a lot of Lake County history with Pomo natives, and the potential enhancement of some of our museums and areas to hold our ancient artifacts and whatnot. Letting him know specific histories and like how the Pomo had a we had a monetary system and things like that. He was really impressed. He didn't know a lot of these things, so it was really fun to let him know these things and educate him on that. So I don't know if you wanted to add to it, Supervisor Green.
No, just I appreciated the visit, and I know he did get some takeaways from that, and just for me, the little bit of education we were able to do about the Clear Lake Hitch, which is featured in that exhibit. But what was striking to me is how much important work is being done in the here and now and for the future. And as important as museum exhibits are, I think it's even more important to make sure that we take appropriate action, so it's not all history. It's more about living history and reinventing what this symbiotic relationship is between our native peoples and the rest of us. So it was a good visit, and I had some takeaways too. So.
All right, I think we are ready to proceed with our timed items. 6.1, 9:06 a.m. public input. Do we have anyone in the chambers who is here that wishes to give public input? I'm not seeing anyone, so I'll check the Zoom room. Oh, you do. Oh, come on up. And you'll just state your name, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Good morning. My name is Zachary Ray, father of two, Waialiki and Pomo from Yimaba. It's just Scotts Valley Band of Pomo Indians here in Lakeport. Former Tribal TANF executive director, consultant for community action agencies, board member on Hope Rising, resident, volunteer, and coach in Kelseyville. I was part of the LA Commission in 2017 that removed Christopher Columbus and was the first city to begin Indigenous Peoples Day. That involved removing all of the statues and monuments to people that had committed genocide, rape, enslavement in this country, and that spread across the country. I come to you today as asking two things. One is to remove the monument that has Kelsey and Stone at Bell Hill Road in Kelseyville. The monument there, the historical marker, is whitewashed and talks about how the Indians were the bad guys. It doesn't talk about the slavery, the rape, and the genocide that took place against our people, and the resulting Bloody Island massacre after their deaths. And two, I ask that the city of Kelseyville be renamed. It's a constant reminder of the atrocities that took place here against our people, and working and coaching in Kelseyville is difficult. With the recent change from the Kelseyville Indians to the Kelseyville Knights, I still have to constantly fight with the residents in Kelseyville who still wear their Kelseyville Indians, who still walk around and is extremely derogatory and discriminatory against our people. And so I think that the changing of the name would be extremely beneficial to the healing of the community, and it's a needed change that's well past due. So thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else who wishes to give public comment? I'm not seeing anyone in the Zoom room. Oh, we have a hand up. Dr. Ryan Ava? You can unmute and state your name and have 3 minutes.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Ryan Ava, the former executive director of Sunrise and the current executive director for Blue Horizons Foundation. Just wanted to express my sincere gratitude to the Board of Supervisors, to the Continuum of Care and Behavioral Health, especially Director Elise, Supervisor Sabatier, Supervisor Green. They have been a tremendous help in the past month, specifically helping us to create a solution to continue the interim shelter in the interim time as RCS is getting ready to take over. So I just wanted to point it out that it would have not been possible without their contribution. So greatly appreciated. And also thanks to the board for taking the time to review the contract and giving us the opportunity to serve the community. Thank you.
Right, so that's actually one of the items on the agenda.
That is correct.
Right, and
Just
so
wanted
this
to
is
take the time
public
to even-
input that's outside and apart from agenda items, so if you would like to call back in, we can have
Of
that
course.
conversation a little bit later. Okay, thank you. All right, not seeing any more public input, I will close public input, and we will move on to our 6.2 item, who's been very patient, 9:07 a.m. Pet of the Week.
Good morning. I am Officer Sadie Egan with Lake County Animal Care and Control, and today with me we have the pet of the week. It is Rusty. He is in kennel 25. He is a 2-year-old Australian blue heeler. He loves people and he gets along with almost all other dogs. He came in as a stray from Jerusalem Grade. He's been with us for a while. He is already neutered and he is looking for his forever home. If anybody is interested in adopting Rusty or any of our other shelter animals, we are located at 4949 Hellbush Drive in Lakeport. Our phone number is 263-0278. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in, Rusty. Okay. 6.3, 9:08 a.m., new and noteworthy at the library. And we have Director Veach.
Thank you. So yeah, I'm Christopher Veach, County Librarian, and thank you for giving me just a few minutes to talk about what's new and noteworthy at the library. This month, I wanted to highlight a new historical fiction title that's incredibly popular at the library. It's called The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride. And the author, James McBride, is a journalist and jazz musician and is renowned for his memoir, The Color of Water, where he describes his upbringing as the child of a black reverend and a white Jewish mother. But The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store, which is historical fiction, is about a town in Pottstown, Pennsylvania. And reviewer Irene Katz-Connolly states, the author's interest in personal and national history grounds his meticulously researched new novel. The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store takes place in Pottstown, Pennsylvania, a rural community not unlike the southern towns in which his mothers grew up. As the book begins in the 1920s, the town's Black and Jewish communities live more or less in harmony in the rundown neighborhood of Chicken Hill. They endure linked but distinctly different forms of discrimination from the town's founding fathers, all of whom seem to believe they're descended from Mayflower settlers. When the state decides to institutionalize a deaf black boy loved in the community, all of the characters in the book come together to protect him. And many reviewers are calling this novel the next great American novel, which is a term for books that reveal something important about our history here in the United States. And in an interview, James McBride himself replied to that, saying, if I thought I was sitting down to write the great American novel, I could never do it. I'm not that smart. I just wanted to write a good story that touched on things people don't know much about. So this book is incredibly popular in the Tri-County area with over 700 people waiting across all formats of this title. But you can wait for it too. This book we have available in print and as an audiobook and an ebook. And you can request titles through our online library catalog, which has the combined resources of Lake, Sonoma, and Mendocino County library systems. And requesting items is completely free to library patrons, and items are sent to your local branch for you to pick up. Also, on your agenda today, I saw Operation Green Light, and with Veterans Day approaching, I wanted to highlight the library's Vet Now service. Vet Now is a website where you can access for free with a Lake County Library card assistance for veterans. Vet Now allows veterans to access live tutors in math, science, and other subjects, as well as standardized tests. And live online help is available every day from 1 p.m. to 10 p.m. And it also has benefits assistance and job tools, which includes real-time interview practice, a resume lab, and you can access this anywhere you can access the web. So you can access Vet Now and all of our other services and events at our website at library.lakecountyca.gov, or visit your local library branch in Lakeport, Clear Lake, Middletown, or Upper Lake. Thanks again for listening to what's new and noteworthy at the library.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments for Director Veach? Any public comment? Okay, not seeing any. Then we will move on to our 6.4 item, 9:15, presentation on CalWORKS outcome and accountability review, CalOR presentation by Social Services Employment Services Program Manager Teresa Schoen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, that's big. So I am the program manager over the Welfare to Work programs at Employment Services. And I've been with the county for almost 15 years now, 9 of which have been with Employment Services and the Welfare to Work programs. So I'm here today to talk about this new program. CalOR is the acronym, and it stands for CalWORKS Outcome and Accountability Review Program. So as most of you know, CalWORKS is the cash aid program in the county. It's our version of TANF, which is the Federal Temporary Assistance for Needy Families. So CalWORKS provides cash assistance, but one of the requirements is that since 1996, there are work requirements in order to continue receiving your cash aid. So it's time limited, it's 60 months or 5 years that an adult can receive cash aid. And there's never been a good way to measure the effectiveness of the program. So the only thing we've had until now is WPR, which is the work participation rate. So when we decide what is success in our program, the work participation rate is simply a measure of how many hours a family is participating in the program. It depends on whether you're a single parent, two-parent family, or in the age of your children, what your hourly requirements are. So with WPR, we're just measuring a point in time. It's not indicative of the quality of the services we provide. So WPR would be like schools measuring the success of their education programs by the days children in school, instead of looking at report cards or outcomes after kids graduate. So we wanted to find better ways to measure what we're doing. So this is how CalOR came to be. So WPR, if you are a single parent with a child under 6 who's not in school yet, your participation is 20 hours a week in activities that are geared to help you become self-sufficient. Those activities could be further education, it could be work experience, it could be a number of things. Behavioral health, if you have barriers to employment, if you are experiencing DV, we need to solve those issues so that you are solid and on your feet so that you can take a job and keep it. If you're a two-parent family, the weekly requirement would be 35 hours, which could be split between the two parents. And the 90%, having 9 out of 10 families meet that hourly requirement is really unreachable. It's not a goal we will ever be able to meet. So looking at what matters most, it's our clients. It is what is the difference we are making for people in the program. So we wanted to find measures that matter. So looking at the things that matter, when a client is off cash aid, are they better off than they were before they were on the program? Are they more educated? Are they making more money? Are they self-sufficient? What tangible data can we gather that will tell us how we're doing? So with CalOR, we're changing the focus from simply how many hours somebody's participating to long-term outcomes. So our CalOR team, we ran an RFP and we are now consulting with Public Consulting Group. And they are handling a lot of the data analysis for us. They handled the stakeholder review process, which I'll go into in a minute. And our team locally at Social Services is our director, Crystal Marketan, our new deputy here beside me, Rachel, who replaced Michelle Dibble. And we have people on our team at every level of the organization so that we get input and buy-in from everyone. We are partnering with Yuba County for our peer review. Every county has to partner with another county. So we've already established a relationship with Yuba, so we bounce ideas frequently off of each other. So they will come here for our peer review, and then we will go to Yuba County for theirs. So the first thing of letting go of WPR started several years ago with Mathematica, who was contracted with the state to look at how we deliver services. It used to be the focus was on getting a job quickly. Now we've learned that it's better for somebody to be on aid for 4 or 5 years if they're getting a degree, something that will keep their family self-sufficient over time, than to just put somebody in a job right now. We've learned a lot about brain science and how people think. Nobody likes to be told what to do. And so the minute you sit down with a client and say, okay, you are mandated to participate, nobody likes that. So it's reframing how we talk to people, making it goal-oriented. So we sit down with a client now and we ask them, what do you need help with right now? What are your goals? Let me help you set your goals. What is it that you need to be self-sufficient? So our clients are much more likely to buy into the program when they see that it's to their benefit. So CalOR is a 5-year cycle, very similar to the cycle that CWS has, in that it is a continuous quality review process. So we start out by gathering all the data we can. We had stakeholder review forums, which we met with our partner agencies, we met with staff at every level, so that we can gather the information that we need to know how we're doing. We submitted a self-assessment to the state in December, and in January, a system improvement plan is due to the state, and that the board will be required to sign off on. So this is why it was important today to.
Excuse me, that's not an exit. You've got to go out the front. Thank you.
So we wanted the board to be familiar with what the program is before January. I just want to pet all the dogs. So right now, we are right smack in the middle of our 5-year cycle, and our system improvement plan will be submitted to the state, and if they approve it, then we will go forward with setting our goals and strategies and tactics that we need to make changes to improve our program. So this is a basic conceptual framework of CalOR. The thing that's important on here is the red box down in the left-hand corner. There are a lot of outside influences that impact the data that we're receiving. For instance, the economic state of our county. What are the jobs that are available? Those really have an impact on the data we're gathering when we look at employment for people post-CalWorks. When we look at CalOR, the data that we show will be long-term, and it will give us more information about how they're doing after they're off the program. And so that's really the important thing, is what difference are we making for families? So continuous quality improvement is the county self-assessment, system improvement plan, and the peer review. So the peer review will be helpful because UBA will come to our county and we will go through our policies and practices with them, share our suggested ideas for implementing change, and they will do the same with us, and it's having a second set of eyes giving us a different perspective. Before we submitted our self-assessment to the state, we had a full week of forums. We met with partner agencies, and all these forums were facilitated by our contractor, and that gave us the ability to get forthright opinions from our partner agencies and our clients without them talking to us. You never know if you're getting valid results when you are the one gathering your own data. So that was very helpful. We had 16 or 17 forums, gathered lots of information during the week. Some things were eye-opening and a lot of things we already were aware of. So we also involved our clients. So we did phone outreach to existing and past clients to get them involved in the program, offered a $50 incentive for participation just to share their views with us, to get the client perspective on how we're doing. So the demographic data that we're collecting comes from several sources. A lot of it comes from our own system, and then we have EDD, which provides the long-term employment, wages people are receiving. We have an agreement through the Community College Chancellor's Office for education attainment rates and that sort of thing, so that we get that from our partner agencies and what we have available locally. So it's not just social services data. So the online dashboard for CalORs is public-facing on the CDSS website, and at the end of this presentation will be the links on how, if you wanted to ever go and look at it. There is county demographic data. There are reports from CalWorks on our clients. Initial engagement has to do with welfare to work and how well we are bringing them into the program and getting them moving. Ongoing engagement, which are the activities they're participating in, how many hours. Supportive services has to do with the things that we provide to our clients. If they're in education, we can pay for almost anything, their books, their parking, their childcare. If they're in a nursing program and they need their scrubs, we can pay for all those sorts of things. Employment and wages comes from EDD. Exit and reentries is interesting because it tells us a lot about how clients do after they're off the program. Are they taking a job? Is it successful? Are they promoting? Or are they coming right back onto aid? So this is a slide from the county demographics. This is poverty statistics. So the little green arrows point to Lake County, and this shows poverty and deep poverty rates. So 125% of the poverty rate are those clients who are doing fairly well. When you get to 50% of the poverty rate, you're talking families that are making half of what the federal poverty rate is. For a family of four, that's about $30,000 a year or less. So 50% of that would be a family of four making only $15,000 coming in. So it's very hard to live on that sort of income. So there are a lot of county demographics on here which are eye-opening. This is looking at CalWORKS reports. This is average annual caseload by caseload type. So before Welfare to Work was implemented in 1996, there were approximately 500,000 families on cash aid in the state. After that, when Welfare to Work became mandatory, that dropped off some. And then over time, we see fewer families on aid. So it's much harder to determine the reasons for that. It could be that minimum wage is increased. Maybe they're making more money now. It could be that they timed out and they received all of the cash aid they're going to get. So there's a lot of different reasons why our caseloads have dropped. Initial engagement and appraisal timeliness. The top is California. The bottom is Lake County. Anywhere you see an asterisk, that means that there were fewer than 11 families in the data, so it's de-identified. If it's 0%, that tells us here is an opportunity for improvement, because initial engagement means getting them into their first activity within 90 days of their application. So a lot of this has to do with low staffing right now. We're booking 6 to 8 weeks out in order to get a client into Welfare to Work. Activity participation, this tells you a little bit about what people are doing when they're on CalWORKS. So they may be participating in behavioral health, educational activities, which is, it's interesting to see from 2015 through the year 2000, we have an increase. So we have more participating now than we had in the past. So I was very happy to see that. Employment, there's always been clients with jobs. They're on aid because those jobs are either part-time or they don't pay enough to support a family. This performance measure has to do with employment. So the employment rate in blue is California, orange is Lake County. So looking at 4 years, and we're looking back in time. The information that comes from EDD is usually 2 to 4 quarters behind. So wage progression is interesting to see that we are very much aligned with California. The first quarter is always going to be lower because somebody got a job in the middle of the quarter, so quarterly wages will hold them back. So those are always going to be lower where it says first quarter. But in the second, 2 quarters after would be 6 months after they got off aid. 4 quarters would be a year later. So we do see that people are increasing slightly over time, which is good. Post-CalWORKS employment rate, we are looking at California compared to Lake County. And again, we tend to mirror the state. There's no big anomalies here. Some of the data, when you're looking at 2020, has been impacted by COVID. Wage progression over time. Lake County and the state, you see the same sort of curve, but of course Lake County wages are lower simply because most of the jobs here pay less comparatively to other counties. So Cal-OR performance measures, there are 50 different measures that the state is looking at, from engagement to sanction rate, which has to do with people who don't participate in welfare to work, they become sanctioned. Orientation attendance rate, are they coming through our doors? Are they attending their activities? Are they in college, and are they progressing? So this is just a simple visual to show where we are on performance measures. So client engagement, very similar to the state. Sanction rate, very similar to the state. You get down to the bottom. OCAT appraisal timeliness, we are not within our state mandates, and we probably will not be until we're close to fully staffed. First activity participation, that's the same thing. We don't get people into their activity timely because we don't have enough staff. Right now our caseloads are about 150 cases per worker, and they should be about 35 to 40. So this is phase 2 measures. These are measures that just were implemented, so we don't have a lot of data yet to show on these. So this will be really interesting over time. Child care access rate. How many of our clients are finding child care? Homeless assistance. Ancillary service access rate. Transportation timeliness. Are we getting people what they need when they need it? Family stabilization is a program that solves a crisis. If somebody has a crisis that they need to deal with in order to participate in welfare to work, that program can help them. So the impact of COVID is, number one, Cal-OR was implemented right during COVID, so we don't have a good starting point. There's no baseline that is indicative of what a normal average year would be. So knowing that, 2020, 2021, 2022, those were the years that the state took off our state mandates. Our clients were allowed to receive cash aid without fear of sanction, and they could stay home during that entire time and do nothing. That makes it much more difficult for us to engage people in the program because you become comfortable when you're allowed to stay at home. So it's been an uphill battle to get people out of their homes and participating again. But being able to have a relationship with a client and talk about where do you want to be in 10 years, what do you want for your family, really is the only way to get them to think long term. So what did we learn from staff? The stakeholder forums taught us that our work environment is generally good. Being a smaller department means that we have stronger relationships, better communication, room for improvement when it comes to the supervisor and staff relationship. So that's something that we can probably address internally. Difficult to manage caseloads, that is high stress, and when workers are under stress, it's very difficult to be really creative in designing an employment plan for a client because you feel that time, you just don't have the time to spend. So that really is making it hard to engage clients in the program. Staffing challenges, intimidating hiring processes, and inability to compete with neighboring county wages. Telework has really made it difficult to attract staff and keep them. If you can live here and work in Sonoma County and make twice as much, why wouldn't you do that? So we've lost a fair amount of staff because of that. Ongoing training, difficulty of keeping up with the pace of rule and policy changes. That is just par for the course. Rules are always changing. It means you never get sedentary in your job. It's constant learning. What did we learn from clients? All kinds of things. It was really interesting to see what they had to say. Longer than expected wait times, that was something we were aware of. Frustration with resubmitting documentation. Some struggled with virtual and remote processes. We've tried our best to work with people and teach them, especially during the pandemic, how to access our services virtually. But it's difficult if you are a family with low income and your internet is not stable. It makes that twice as difficult. So no wonder students struggled with education doing it remotely. So activities were varied. People participate in a lot of different activities, and it is goal-led. They can choose what they want to participate in. Some activities weren't accessible due to the location. We have a big lake right in the middle of our county, which means a lot of transportation. Universal themes. Transportation is an ongoing barrier. We do provide bus passes, but the buses don't always go to the places everybody wants them to go. Reliable child care providers. There are child care providers in the county that are reliable, but there's a perception, a mistrust that families have on aid. If they've experienced trauma in their past, they're less likely to trust others with their children. So that is hard to get someone to participate in the program if they don't have trust in their child care provider. Lack of dependable and affordable internet access. Generational poverty. That is something our county, it's become a way of life. If you grew up in poverty, it's very difficult to see your way forward out of that. So we work with people, we keep talking to them about their future and their abilities, because just because you grew up in poverty doesn't mean that that is going to be your whole life. So long-term understaffing, length of time between application, orientation, and first activity. People lose their motivation if they attend their orientation for CalWorks and then 5 weeks go by before they hear from Wellflower Work. So we want to do something about that. We discovered a lot of opportunities or things we can fix. Virtual service is a curse and a blessing. It enabled us to provide services throughout the pandemic using Zoom. We were able to put together remote testing for learning disabilities. There were a lot of things that we learned during this pandemic, and we had to embrace technology that we hadn't used in the past. So it was a learning experience for everyone. Re-engaging participants post-pandemic is difficult. So through the self-assessment process, some of the themes that we will most likely be focusing on in our self-improvement plan will be client engagement, our orientation attendance rates. There are some streamlining of processes that we can do. We will work with Yuba County to see what we could do to shorten the time frame. We've implemented group orientations, which helps some. That way, one worker can do the orientation for a group. Tackling understaffing issues, we're doing what we can to attract people to our positions. We're doing presentations at the colleges before people graduate. We let them know about merit and how to apply. There's a lot of different things that we haven't considered yet that we could probably do to increase our achievement in our performance measures. Wage progression and reentry. This is going to be a more difficult thing to tackle, simply because we don't have control over someone after they're off the program. We don't have the ability to really know what's happening unless they are in our retention program where we're offering case management. But one thing that we know we can do is really push education, because once you have a degree or certificate and you get into a job that pays better, you're much more likely to keep that job than if you are making minimum wage. So our next steps in the CalORB process. So we're looking at identifying our long and short-term goals for our system improvement plan. We'll select the performance measures to focus on, and our team approach will brainstorm the strategies for consideration. We will put together a plan that will go to the state. We will identify what potential roadblocks we may run into, and create a timeline for implementation of the plan. We'll road test it, see how we do. It's a constant CQI process where we are constantly evaluating how did we do, what could we do better. Conducting the peer review, and then we will go to Yuba for their peer review. And then the board will sign off on the plan. So you will get to see it and comment and give us your advice and sign off on it. And that will be in January. So outcomes are what really matter. WPR, while it's a federal measure, is something we are trying to let go of. We want to focus on long-term outcomes, because that's why we're here, is to make changes. And CalWorks and Welfare to Work really excites me, because here is an opportunity for you to improve your life. So if we can get people on board, or get our clients to realize what a difference it is if they participate, what a difference it can make for their families, that's really why we're here. So at the top is the web page link. You could go online and just type CDSS CalOR, and it will pop up. The data dashboard is online. Our county self-assessments will be posted shortly. The state is getting ready to post those. They said by the end of the month. So the dashboard has all of the data available on it. And my contact information is at the bottom if you have any questions, anything I can answer.
Thank you for the presentation. There's a lot there, and it looks like a lot of room for improvement too for us all. I have a question about the type of work that is offered and what the employer, how does that work? Do you contract with other employers, or what are some examples of the positions that people can get?
You mean once our clients, once they go through the program?
Yes.
If you go through the program, and the first thing we do is set goals with the client. What do you like? What are you interested in? What does that require? Does it require education? If so, we can put them in education. Once they get to the point where they are ready, we can put them in work experience or on-the-job training. We partner with Mendocino Private Industry Council, who runs our OJT program. So if somebody wants to work in a dentist's office, but they have no experience, the OJT program gives you that experience, because we can pay the wage for 6 months while you are learning on the job. And from there, it's up to them to apply. We work with them on how to write your resume. We can buy your interview outfit. If you need your haircut, we can pay for that, or tattoo removal, so that you are job ready when you're through the program. Some people come into the program job ready. A great many others do not. And so if they're living through DV, sometimes they need to deal with that first. So we allow for that.
And what's the overlap with CareerPoint?
CareerPoint is very much aligned. They do what we do. The difference is that they can serve the entire population, whereas we are serving only CalWorks low-income poverty families. So our clients can be their clients. Their clients are not necessarily our clients. We partner with CareerPoint for a lot of things, because they can support some industries that we cannot. Somebody wants to become a truck driver. The schooling for that is something that I can't pay for, but CareerPoint can. So we work with them, try to braid funding to serve clients in the best ways possible.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Crandall?
Yeah, I'm looking at one of the slides where it says CalWorks annual average caseload by case type. Is it 200 and maybe 300 total? Did you say that 300 total cases that we have in Lake County, or?
Right now I have 700, a little over 700 welfare to work cases.
Okay.
CalWorks cases, though, are a little bit higher. I'm not quite sure what that number is, because that includes people who are not necessarily welfare to work.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm just looking at the graph, and I just can't tell the exact number. I was just wondering, and what methods do you use to determine? Do they have to come in, or do you refer when they have cases in other programs?
We do a lot of referrals. We refer out to LFRC. They run our CalLearn program, which is for pregnant and parenting teens. We refer to behavioral health, who handles most of the behavioral health, mental health, SUDS issues if they have substance abuse. Yeah, Tribal TANF, we do work alongside Tribal TANF. The difference is a client cannot be both Tribal TANF and CalWorks at the same time. So they can choose to go from one to the other. Not consistently, just once or twice, and that's it. But we like to make sure that somebody's getting what they need, whether it's Tribal TANF or CalWorks.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Supervisor Green?
Yeah, thank you for this. a lot to unpack, and we'll be doing that for a while, it sounds like, and we'll come back in January. I was just curious, just as a subset, we have a much larger group of people receiving assistance that's not cash aid, and I'm a little curious about that because you said 700 right now, so that seems to be an uptick from what I saw in the earlier data. But what percentage would that 700 represent versus the many thousands of people receiving food assistance or Medi-Cal or other type of assistance?
Medi-Cal is far greater. I think it's probably 5 times as many clients on Medi-Cal. Do you know what the stats are?
Almost 30,000 people on Medi-Cal.
30,000.
8%.
29,000 or something in Lake.
And with CalWorks, it's time limited. You get 60 months, and then that's it. So people come and go much more frequently. If you're on Medi-Cal, it could be for years and years and years. Same thing with CalFresh.
The program requirements are significantly different between the two programs. So Medi-Cal is a larger...
Rachel, can you bring the microphone?
Sure. The program requirements between CalWorks Cash Aid and Medi-Cal are significantly different. They're different programs. If you're on CalWorks Cash Aid, you automatically get Medi-Cal. But Medi-Cal is a larger population. It has higher income limits. It has different ways to qualify. So we're always going to see a larger Medi-Cal population as opposed to just the individuals on CalWorks or CalFresh, because for CalWorks, you've got to have minor dependent children to be eligible for the program, whereas CalFresh, you just have to have a need and for food and be within the income limits and property limits. You don't have to have any other linkage to CalFresh. With Medi-Cal, it's even wider group of people eligible.
Yeah, so with CalWorks, we're talking families, people with children in the home.
I'm just wondering, and I don't know what the average monthly cash amount would be. I know it would vary by family size, but I'm just wondering, again, this has been since the late 90s, is part of the disengagement just the constant calculation that people must make? Is the complexity of complying with this worth the effort that I'm going to get for whatever X amount of $100 this
That is
gets?
part of it. Just the application is 23, 24 pages. So it is...
Do you know what the average?
The average CalWorks grant is about $960 a month. Now, it depends on your family size. If you're one person, it's going to be far less. If you have a family of 10, you're going to be making a great deal more. But it's still just keeping people above drowning. You know, it's not enough, really, in this society to live off of. So if you're on cash aid, hopefully it's for a short period of time. That's the cash aid portion. Your CalFresh that you get for food is a separate pot of money. And it has to do with the size of your family and the amount of income coming in and deprivation as well.
All right, last question, I promise. Obviously, there's new metrics here engaging and then keeping people employed, but the reality of our workforce and Yuba County's workforce and everyone's workforce for that matter is a much more fractured environment where ongoing employment opportunities may be slim on a good day. So as valuable as these metrics may be, is there a punitive aspect to them if we don't continue to keep people employed? You know, are there, do we get reduced funding at the end of the day? Is there potential for us to get punished as a county for things that are beyond our control in terms of the outcomes that we have to demonstrate?
Not for CalOR. For the federal WPR rate, if we don't meet two-parent 90%, and no county basically is meeting that, there is a financial penalty, but through COVID, the state has been able to refute those penalties, so we have not had to pay any penalties. I did calculate out what it would be for us. It's less than 1% of our CalWorks budget.
Okay, Supervisor Sabatier.
I love this. Before we were talking about, what was the word, penetration, looking at specific demographics and groups and breaking it down and seeing how many people of those groups are eligible and how many people we actually have on our programs. And just like you said, that means absolutely nothing other than we've touched them, but how did we affect them? How did we impact them? Knowing that we've served 200 people does not tell me the quality of the service that they received or the life-changing impacts. So I'm going to be patient. I just want to say that this is exciting. This is exactly what we need. I want to make sure that our return on investment, because this is a very large investment that goes through social services coming through the state, but it's our tax dollars that are feeding social services to provide these programs. We need to ensure that there's a return on that investment, and without that kind of data, it's really difficult to say what we're getting. Unfortunately, we're saying words of generational poverty, which tells me that we haven't had the impact necessarily that we've all wanted to have.
Yes,
And
exactly.
understanding and knowing what that is so that we can pinpoint where the issues are and make those changes within specific programs rather than feel like we're doing the right things by changing things is going to be so much better. So I'm just going to be patient for the process to conclude before it gets submitted over in January and it comes back to us. But this is exciting because this is the exact kind of data that we need to really understand what specific program is doing a great, fantastic job and what program is not really allowing people to really change their lives. We always want to help, but at one point we have to do the hard part of changing people's lives where they start helping themselves. If we continuously help, then 20 years down the road, we will be right here continuing to help.
Yeah.
We have to do something better than just help. We have to make that change. So I'm excited. I'll be patient and looking forward to how this moves forward through the process.
Vice Chair Simon?
Yep. Yeah, I think great program as we're moving forward, but I just going to make a comment. You made a comment of opportunities where they could be paid to work for 6 months, good opportunities there. In redoing the program and rethinking this, we have a problem. We have a problem getting Department of Social Services workers and getting them in, getting them trapped. Can that be a part of this program where, when we're talking about generational change, maybe you're the first person in the family that gets a county job for social services and went through this program to do that? Could we use it as a pipeline, in this process as internship or opportunities? Everyone on this program may have an opportunity, they just haven't been given, having the skills to work in our social services department. What would be better than that to get someone hired, come through the program and say, look, I was in your position 3 years ago. I went through the program, or 5 years ago, gone through the program, now I'm working in social services. Are we already doing that as setting up a pipeline to invite out of the 700 to work for social services programs?
We did originally have an OJT program that we had positions for, but when the OJT state program switched to become expanded subsidized employment, there was an issue with merit because you have to pass the test to be employed. So we can't just put people in an OJT position and, if they're successful, keep them without having pass that test. And at that point, if they pass the test and we hire them, then there's no need for the OJT program. So we're looking at reinventing the past OJT program that we had and keeping our ESE program as well that places in private sector businesses. So I think there's some opportunity there as well, because it's hard to attract someone to our positions if they don't. You have to have a degree, or you have to have the education and experience, a combination, or come up through the ranks. So we've worked with the colleges, with Woodland in particular, to make sure that they're offering the courses that meet our minimum qualifications. So over time, I think that will make a difference, and letting people know that this is a great field to work in, and it really is.
So trying to bridge that gap there, and coming from a standpoint, you made a couple of comments there that not everyone needs that degree. I know there are state requirements, but that education part, some people just are great at learning on the street, going through life, understanding things, and then become a great employee and given the opportunity to learn from that. I just hope we can. It's great that it was there, but we have a problem with the county. We need Department of Social Services workers. We have a lot of folks in the CalOR program that need to go through that education process, do that stuff, and I don't know if we could just strengthen that pipeline to create our own workforce. And like I said, generational, poverty, coming from a tribal community, understanding that is a real challenge. And sometimes education is the one barrier. When you have a great workforce, great opportunity, a good worker, but just doesn't have that educational piece, that can be used as a barrier too, to keep that generational poverty. So education just always can't be the answer, because it isn't the answer for everybody. And
Yeah,
I don't know how we fix it. I'm not saying it's easy to fix, but it does, and we all know that. We have family members that are just excellent at what they do, never went to school or that wasn't their thing, but they're really good, and they're doing great things for the community. So just to rethink the program as we're going through there, I see we have a problem on the county side of bringing our Department of Social Services and employment staff up, and we have this big base of 700 people that are going through the program. There's got to be 50 or 75 that would really fit into the unique opportunity to get educated and get a job. So,
and even without education, you can come in as an OA, work your way up through eligibility, and then to employment and training worker positions.
and then creating pride in the household.
Yeah, I would love to see
Mom or dad or, got a job at social services, and they're helping my aunt and uncle, and, so it's compounding from that point. I think it's unique. We'll wait and see, but I just thought it would be a great time to say it right now.
I would love to see an intern program as well.
Yeah.
If we could put something together for that, I think that would be a great way to get people in the door as well.
And especially with that little bit, they get an extra grade or whatever you want to call it, a step up, because they're in the CalOR program. They're saying, hey, this person really might fit into that role. They're putting the work in. So let's give them a little carrot here to keep going. So, all right.
Thank you.
Yep.
Supervisor Green.
Just one last question. Despite the difficulties and all that, just like with Medi-Cal right now, we just came out of COVID, so we're recertifying a lot of people, and there's definitely a public outreach campaign supporting that. Coming out of COVID and now with these new metrics, what current outreach is there? And if this is a unsung program that, not to put any more stress on the workers you don't have to process the cases, but what can we do to actually re-educate people about the existence of the program, and if they are in a situation where they could actually benefit from that, what type of public outreach does the state do as a routine basis, and what do we do here locally?
That is a good question. CalFresh has had outreach going in the past, but we have not done that with CalWorks, but we can use our funding in that capacity. So that might be something to look at. But without the staff right now, I'm a little leery of doing that. But I'm sure there are families out there who are not on cash aid. I remember when I was in poverty and I had 2 children, and I didn't even know about the program. And that was in the 90s. And so, it would have been a huge help had I known. Hopefully things are different these days and people are aware of the programs. I think with online availability, you can pretty much connect with anything if you have a phone. So one thing we will look at is the county demographics compared to our CalWorks population to see, are there segments of the population we're missing? If Spanish speakers, if 5% of the county speak Spanish, but only 1% of our clientele does, then we know there's a gap. So, we look at those things as well.
Supervisor Sabatier.
Just a couple of things. I had a conversation with CAO Parker yesterday, just thinking of something that you were bringing up here, Supervisor Simon. In-house training versus waiting for somebody to have a piece of paper to say that I can do this. We have the possibility of looking at those types of options, because if we train them exactly for what the needs are, then they'll have the knowledge and experience to do the job. And maybe there's a way that we can do that, and maybe we need to look at every possible option on how to get there, because I agree. Let's make sure we get our people accessing the jobs that are available that we're providing. You mentioned Woodland. You didn't mention Mendocino. I hope that there's the same level of collaboration happening with Mendocino. I know that there's a good collaboration with Woodland, but Woodland, I'll just be blunt, I just met with the chancellor yesterday. Woodland has its hurdles that it's going through, especially right now. They just got rid of their Learn program, which is like the remedial classes to help you get ready to obtain your high set, which is kind of like the GED.
So sorry to hear that.
And I'm unhappy that nobody was aware that that was going to happen, because there was just a unilateral decision from Woodland to get rid of it, rather than a conversation with local community leaders saying,
Yeah,
what
that's a
can you
problem.
do to fill in this new void that's going to happen? And so I know I did make a request yesterday that we need to create a community committee of educational leaders, social services, all of those that are impacted by the work that the college does, so that we can talk about what changes are going to happen, so that if it's positive changes, how do we work together to make sure to get it out to everybody and maximize the results. If it's things that are going to change that might have negative consequences, how do we work together to change what we're doing to make sure that there's still something available to the people here. So I just want to, I know you have been working, I've seen you when I worked over at the college, that you've been working with the college for quite some time, but I think it's important more than ever to make sure that we have a louder voice on them knowing what our needs are, rather than dealing with the consequences of their actions, which is happening at Yuba and not happening here.
Yeah, they've had quite a change in the administrative positions going on. Our CalWorks counselor there promoted and then went elsewhere, and so they have a CalWorks counselor, but is working out of Woodland. So, you know, we don't have a local person right now to collaborate with. We went through the same thing with Mendocino a couple of years ago. They had a new dean come in, and you know, you have to build relationships from square one when that happens, but we're willing to do that. We do have clients taking classes at Mendocino and at Sonoma, and some online with various different colleges. But it's those relationships that really make the program work. So,
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to open it up for the public. Is there anyone here that would like to give comment? Just state your name and you'll have 3 minutes.
Hello again, Zachary Ray. Over the last 17 years, I've been working for Tribal TANF. I was a Tribal TANF recipient as a 20-year-old father. And so over the most recently, I was the executive director for California Tribal TANF Partnership for the last 4 years here. And the concerns that I have are that in your presentation, the tribes weren't contacted. They're not included in your demographics. They're not your partners. The Tribal TANF programs that you have 2 of here in the county weren't contacted. They're not who you're peer reviewing with, which is a major concern. You have 2 other social services programs here that you're not working with. And in those 4 years that I was the executive director, we had no contact with the county. There was no partnership. There was no working together, as you falsely claimed to the Board of Supervisors. Especially with WIOA funds, Tribal TANFs are mandated, state-mandated partners, and there's no partnership that's taking place there. And so that I just wanted to bring that up. It is a big concern that there's no peer review happening between the programs that are here. CTTP is one of the oldest programs in the nation. It celebrated its 20th year anniversary here this summer. And you also have Scotts Valley Tribal TANF, both off of Parallel Road. More recently, we've been hearing in the community that there's a lot of concern with how the participants are being treated, especially our Native community. There's very blatantly racist policies that you are enforcing. I had a call with your director last week about this, and I'm supposed to be meeting with your deputy director here pretty soon, where our people are being turned away. They're being treated very poorly. And again, they're very blatantly racist policies that are on the books, that have been on the books for a long time. There's a fundamental lack of understanding and cultural competency across the board in all of your departments within the social services. And you say, what differences are we making for families? Well, what families are you talking about if you're only focusing on one segment of the population and all these other families are being left out? And so that would be my concern. And as your presentation shows, it's a sole focus on a small portion of the population, while your consultants, highly paid, didn't go into the Native communities and engage with them at all. And so I do want to bring all of those issues up and have the board understand that the county can do better and they should be doing better. Whereas the 76 programs in this nation that are Tribal TANF have always met their work participation rates, and we are the only ones that are subject to fines, whereas the states and most counties have never met the work participation rates, and they are not subject to the same fines, even though the federal regulations say that they're supposed to be. And so you have successful programs here in the county that I suggest you start working with. Thank you.
Just to let you know, you may not be aware, we do have an MOU with CTTP that was signed recently, within the past 2 or 3 months, and that hadn't been updated in quite a long time. We do what we can to work with Tribal TANF, but it is a separate program from ours. And we're awaiting signature on an MOU with Scotts Valley Band of Pomo Indians as well. So once those are in place, that will open the door for better communication.
Can I respond to that? The county
Just
does have-
come up to the microphone, and I'm going to give you another 3 minutes.
The counties do have a responsibility to have MOUs because they have to have the verification on aid. They have to have the time on aid verification. But very rarely do those MOUs include anything other than VOA information. And so there's no operating agreement where there's partnership taking place. Those are just time on aid and verifications, income verifications. And most of our participants, although that is, like you said, a duplication of aid to have Tribal TANF and CalWORKS, all of our participants are usually eligible for SNAP, your CalFresh, and your Medi-Cal benefits. And so we do have participants in common, and there should be participation that's happening above and beyond the MOU process of just VOAs.
And I'd love to hear more about, you had mentioned that people are being turned away. I would love to hear more about that. If you wanted to contact me, call me sometime, and just let me know more about what you're seeing.
Yeah, I spoke with Crystal last week. We're supposed to be meeting, I think, with the deputy director. I'd love to have you included, and we could talk about that. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have anyone else with public comment? I'll check the Zoom room. I'm not seeing any hands up in Zoom. Okay, all right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Doretta Merrill, and I was at the Warming Center in Lakeport. I started being there in May.
Sorry, ma'am, would you,
In May,
there we go.
and the director at the time was was Yvonne, and the director now used to be the cook. She would cry because we had to have chicken. Well, now we get chicken 5-7 days a
Okay,
week.
so this item is not about the warming center?
It is about the warming.
No, this item that we're
Oh, I'm sorry.
discussing right now is not the warming center item. We'll get to that a little later. Great. Do we have public comment on this item from anyone else in the chambers? Okay. All right, I'll bring it back to the board then for any final comments or thoughts. Any? Okay. Well, this was a presentation. Thank you so much. Really appreciate all the information that was brought here today. And it sounds like there's going to be some conversations to continue the work forward for everyone. Our next item is at 10:30, so we will take a break until then and come back right at 10:30. So about a 12-minute break. All right, thank you.
Come find you when you're back.
Ready for 6.5, 10:30 a.m., consideration of a resolution amending the master fee schedule for departmental services rendered by the county. This is by admin, and we have our Deputy Director Moreno.
Deputy County Administrative Officer, yes. Casey
Oh,
Moreno.
sorry.
So I have a few different departments that have requested that their fees be changed. I also have a fee study done for environmental health to present to you today. So I have a PowerPoint. This or, oh, okay.
Is it shared on Zoom? It doesn't look like it is.
It's not shared.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So the first department is behavioral health. They are requesting that 3 of their fees be reduced down to their original rate that they were prior to the last change that went into effect on July 1st. The reason that it increased so significantly was due to the state mandate on medical payers, and so they have decided that they don't want to charge private payers that same rate, so they are reducing them back down to their pre-rate. The next one is code enforcement. They are requesting to add fees to be in line with the rest of community development, which is advertising, postage, copies. Next is library. So they are requesting one of their fees be amended to say missing or damaged cases or charges for library devices. The fee is going to stay the same, $10. So we're just changing the description. All right, so into the environmental health fee study. There was a few variables that were noticed during the fee study. So the current data management system has significant deficiencies, which lead to staff taking a lot longer to enter time into the system. They are resolving that with their current RFP, which closed. They have selected a vendor. It's RFP number 2327, so they are in contract negotiations at this time. The next is staff are double coding to projects. So there are instances where there are 2 staff members that are required to go out for safety reasons. And so they are both coding time to that same project code. That has been resolved effective immediately. A few months ago, they added a new activity code so that they are able to split out their time, and in future fee studies, it will only be accounted for once. And then time spent on similar projects varies widely. Some projects will take, a small amount of time. Other projects will take a lot longer. Travel time is a huge factor in that. So that was a huge variable in the fee study. Their goal is to implement their new data management system, and that should be starting in the next few months. And then to reassess the fees in the next 3 to 5 years with a new fee study on their new data management system. From the fee study, in conjunction with county admin, it has been recalculated. Their hourly rate should be reduced to $103 an hour, not the current $135. Historically, environmental health has been increasing it by the CPI, and so a fee study was just completed, and it should actually be at $103 an hour. Just as a comparison to surrounding counties, Mendocino's at $150, Sonoma's at $218, Yolo's at $176, Yuba's $167.99, and Glenn County is $92.07. So there was quite a few land fees that had some pretty significant changes. So the first column is the fee prior to the fee study being completed, so prior to July 1st effective date. And then the last approved fee study, master fee schedule update, which was effective on July 1st of 2023. Next to it is the fee study results, and then the recommendation for today's master fee schedule update. So just to highlight a few of them, the septic abandonment was prior at $137. What was approved was $144. However, the fee study results were $674. So they are recommending the $175 be removed or be approved. I'm sorry. Next one is to highlight the new permit cap and fill. It was previously at $748. What was approved was $1,751. The fee study results was $3,009, and so they are requesting it be approved at $975.
I have a question on that. The fee study results is the actual cost or the median or mean cost of doing that service?
Correct. Yeah, it's the time spent over the past 5 years, not including 22, 23, but the 5 years prior to that. Time spent compared to the time that was charged.
And so I'm not against making things more accessible to people. However, I just have to question if we're going to, for example, the site evaluation, we approved it at 600. The fee study says it's $935, but we're going to reduce it to $550, even though the study shows that it costs us $935. At what point is that a gift of public funds, knowing that it costs us that much and us even reducing the cost? Just kind of curious where that line, when are we straddling the line and when have we completely gone off the line?
And that's part of the variables I mentioned previously, was the time spent was not always accounted correctly in the system. So it takes, like, to write a receipt, it should only take 5 minutes to enter everything. It's taking half an hour. So, and that's just basic data entry from the front counter. So when the inspectors are going in, they're not able to currently go out to the site and write their notes. They have to come back to the office and do that. So their time spent is taking a lot longer than it should. And then if there are 2 people going out for safety reasons, they're both coding to it. So what really took an hour, it's coded as 2 hours. So there's that. And so that's why they want to come back with a fee study in 3 to 5 years and hopefully get closer to being in line with what it's actually costing.
But if 2 people were out there, don't we have to bill for both of their time, even though it took 1 hour?
I asked Craig about that and the environmental health director, and he said it depends on what the reason is. If it's safety, because anybody going to Pillsbury, they send somebody out there with them because cell reception. So that they don't feel like they should charge the applicant for that because of their location. If it's safety reason, like somebody is being difficult, I feel like that should be charged, but we have to be fair to everybody.
So just for the public's understanding, these are self-funded departments. So we have to make sure that we're appropriately charging, but also not operating at a loss. And so
That's why I asked the
we're
question.
so we're very confident that these recommended fees won't be operating at a loss and we won't have to supplement with general fund.
General fund does not get pulled over for environmental health. They do pull from realignment from public health.
Okay.
Just one other question. I believe that the law is increases need to be identified through a fee study of sorts. We increased it to, let's just use the new permit standard from 642 to 982, and now we're recommending to bring it down to 900 based on the fee study. Did we have a fee study to bring it to 982? So why is it 3 months later a new study has identified it as less? I'm just kind of curious if there's, what do we do about all the permits in between 7-1 and now? Because it would seem to me that we either didn't do an in-depth fee study or we did a very bare bones. It's weird to do 2 studies, one that says increase and then 3 months later having one that says, by the way, decrease it. it makes me ask questions as to how did we ever say increase?
So there was only one fee study that was completed. And so the original fee study that was submitted and those numbers that were taken off of there, environmental health felt like people would not pay those prices. And because of those variables that they are working on resolving, they didn't want to increase them so high that people wouldn't pull permits. And that's their main concern, is if they're too high, people won't pull them, and then they'll still do it, and then we lose out even more.
Go ahead.
I also just, hearing this discussion makes me think of some of the folks that I've spoke with about their permits, and their concerns are like one of the situations in their permits. There's room or topics that they need to pay a permit amount because of the potential road, the roads.
road impact.
Yeah, the road impact. I know in the specific areas that I'm talking about, the roads probably haven't been done for years, so they're like, why are we adding this to the permit for this when it hasn't been done? So, I mean, in some instances, I see the recommended for these type of situations, but I do hear you when it comes to, self-funded departments and needing to, not only be made whole, but also have some sort of, increase that helps with, some of their budget. So, I don't know, I just wanted to say that because I'm hearing you say a little lower recommended, and in a sense that makes sense to me because of what I just described about those impacts and maybe some other things too, but yeah.
So here's a graph showing the same fees that we were just looking at the data for, and the purple bar is the fee study, which is significantly higher. And so hopefully with the next fee study, they'll be a lot closer in line, and those variables will be addressed.
And is that going to be next year or how?
3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years?
Yes, and the reason for that is the new data management system is going to take them some time to get used to and get training on and get everything uploaded on there. So they want to use new data and not use part from the old data management system and part from the new.
Okay, thank you.
Next is the well fees. So there was just 2 of them that they are looking at reducing down to $135. Previous was $108 for each of those fees, and then the fee study came back quite a bit higher. So next one is food fees. So these were the only fees out of all of the food that they looked at that had a pretty significant change. So to highlight the restaurant bar under $650, that was $745 originally, increased to $1,403. Fee study came back at $1,871, and they are now recommending $850 be approved. The vehicle mobile food facility, that one was originally $151, increased to $281. Fee study came back at $375, and they are recommending $200. And then the coffee house kiosk low-risk prepackaged food, that was originally at $204, increased to $633. Fee study came back at $844, and they are recommending $400. Also to note, the fee study, or I'm sorry, the approved master fee schedule that was approved effective July 1st, they have not been collecting those high rates. They have been collecting on the original, so that now that they're decreasing most of their fees down, there's not a need for a refund or anything like that. And then a graph showing the fees for food, and the purple again is the fee study results. And then there's a few fees that were highly variable, and they are requesting that they be changed to the hourly rate. Just a few to note on there is the mobile food facility plan check remodel and alteration. That one was previously $307. What was approved was $481. Fee study came back at $641, so they are requesting that be changed to an hourly rate. Consultation pre-application fee, that one was originally the hourly rate at $135. However, the fee study did find on average over the past 5 years, it was $899. So because of that huge difference, they're requesting that be changed to hourly so that depending on what the consultation or pre-application is, they can charge appropriately. And that is the end of my presentation.
Okay. Supervisor Sabatier.
So a part of me has some concerns. Everything looks good as far as what's recommended, but the process, I'm slightly confused. We're talking about a fee study. There will be another one done in 3 to 5 years, but I fully anticipate that there will be changes in the next iteration of years as we go through the fee schedule. And from my understanding, you can't change the fee schedule without a fee study attached to it. So are there miniature fee studies that come along with it? Is it just based on salaries and that whatever 2%, 3% increase might be, that's what happens for the fee schedule? I think that I'm going to ask, and it doesn't have to be given to everybody, but I'm going to ask next time there's a fee schedule, I want to see all the fee studies as to why we're seeing the increase, because it's supposed to be there, but it's not shared with the public, it's not shared with us. Here you're sharing some of the final data, but it makes no sense that we just increased it, whether that was May or June, and that now we're doing, based on a fee study, another iteration of it. So to me, why wasn't that done in May, or no changes in May and changes today with a fee study? I'm very confused. It feels like multiple fee studies are occurring, or one of them's not occurring, and we're approving increases that maybe we're not getting the right type of reporting. From this perspective, I have concerns that I'm not understanding how it is that we got to the point that today we're reducing things. So I just want to make that request that I will be asking for all the fee studies from now on, just because it's not been made easily available to both the, I know it should be available if I ask for it, but this feels awkward in the way that we've done this. Appreciate that things are being reduced. I hope that we can make sure that our departments stay whole. That's important to me because we shouldn't be gifting public funds to individuals that are trying to do projects or start businesses. But at the same time, I feel like I'm less understanding of this process today than I was before. So,
Supervisor Green.
Thank you. I appreciate the questions. As I recall, my questions had to do with the original adoption of this fee schedule, and at that time I was expressing discomfort with the fees that were enacted that were pegged to that previous fee study. And my discomfort at the time led to me voting no on the fee schedule, no offense to the rest of the departments and their very lovely fees. I'm very appreciative that environmental health, and Mr. Weatherby in particular, took my comments to heart, and maybe some of his own internal thoughts on where we landed with the fee schedule when it was enacted based on the prior fee study. I do want to point out on the attachment, the changes are highlighted in yellow. Yes, there are lots of reductions. There are several increases as well. And I think overall it is a thoughtful approach to taking a look at all the fees that environmental health is charging across a wide variety of activities, land permits, food permits, and in particular I want to highlight the changes to our cottage industries, our cottage food licenses, our coffee houses, our micro-enterprise home kitchen operations, which is a new type of permit that we do to support people that can't stand up a full-service restaurant. So we want to encourage those people that are doing entry-level work in the food service as they potentially grow up into a full-service operation. So I acknowledge the questions with the fee study. I'm encouraged to hear there will be a new data system that will help EH moving forward in really accurately charging its actual costs, and I hope that data management system will inform the next fee study so that everyone will have a real comfort level when that comes back. But I just want to highlight that although there are some substantial price reductions in here that could potentially raise questions of adequate cost recovery, I'm just strongly supportive of it because I think the vision is there. We do need to charge adequate fees to make the county whole, but we also have to be very conscious of the impacts these fees can have on people trying to set up and run and maintain businesses. And so I'll be supporting this.
Okay. I'll open it up for public comment. Do we have anyone in the chambers who wishes to give comment on this item? Or in the chambers, or I'm sorry, in the Zoom room? Not seeing anyone in Zoom? Okay, I'll bring it back to the board for action.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Thank you. Yes.
Just as a point of clarification, understand that there were several revised attachments that were provided in the agenda packet for this item, and I believe staff is, for clarification, looking to have the document labeled as revised 10-23-23-MFS update 10.24.23 changes only as the Exhibit A referenced in the resolution that's before your board today. And in that resolution, as revised, on page 1, section 2, the phrase highlighted in yellow should be deleted then as part of the amended resolution that's before your board.
I don't see it highlighted.
In the packet,
Are you looking at the revised resolution amending master fee schedule 1024?
yes. It's labeled revised 10-23-23-AA resolution amending master fee schedule 10.24.
So that says the fees and charges highlighted in yellow in the attached Exhibit A would be deleted?
Just the phrase highlighted in yellow.
Okay. Oh, I was looking for something that was highlighted in yellow. I apologize. Do we need to specify which one is the Exhibit A that we're finalizing, since there's so many revised?
Right. And if your board wishes, as I stated, the staff is recommending the document labeled as revised 10-23-23-MFS update 10.24.23 changes only as the Exhibit A for that resolution, because that does not contain any highlights.
You can offer that.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that I understood the logic and that we didn't need the full exhibit of fees. It's only the ones that we are changing that we are approving in the amendment. Okay. I offer the resolution, the appropriate resolution as stated by County Council.
And as amended.
And as amended.
Supervisor Simon?
Yes.
Supervisor Sabatier?
Aye.
Supervisor Crandall?
Yes.
Supervisor Green?
Aye.
And Supervisor Pyska?
Yes. All right, thank you. So we have some time. Should we take a closed session item? Or? Yeah. 8.2? How about 8.3? 8.3? Okay, so we have time in between our next item, which is scheduled for 11:30. So we're going to clear the chambers and move into closed session. And we are going to 8.3, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1, Earthways Foundation, Inc., v. County of Lake et al. So if everyone could just briefly clear out the chambers, and we'll invite you back in for our 11:30 item.